talk a little bit about a couple things tonight, but I gotta warn you. Take everything that I say tonight with a grain of salt. I'm not, you know, putting my reputation on the line or whatever the hell you want to call it, but when you see coincidence after coincidence after coincidence after coincidence, how many coincidences does it take before someone finally comes to the conclusion that, you know what, maybe these aren't coincidences no matter how outrageous the things are that had happened? After all, if you ask a statistician, what are the chances of all these events happening on the same day in the same month throughout years? It's probably going to be pretty astronomical, all kinds of stuff. So let me get started on a few things I want to cover. BP oil spill. BP oil spill. There's two possibilities. A, they drilled this well, 2 months, whatever, before the actual April 20th date when this thing blew up, whatever. And 2 months before that, they already knew something was going to happen. The pressure had already peaked and spiked. Maybe stuff blew out then, but just didn't catch fire yet. So they decided to sell all their stocks. Goldman Sachs sold all their stocks. Halliburton scooped up that company called Boots and Coots Oil Cleanup Company, all in advance because they knew this was going to happen. And they said, well, it's just a matter of time before the thing blows up or just, they cut it, whatever. So they did it in advance. The problem is, well, I'd like to believe that's how it went down, and sure, they sold their stocks because they knew they were finished because the thing was an accident. That was just a big disaster that they couldn't contain. But because it happened on 4/19, April 19th, excuse me, there's a problem with that. Just show a couple things here. Oklahoma City bombing, April 19, 1995. Waco siege in Texas, the big standoff, ended violently 50 days later on April 19th, 1993. There was another type of Waco event that happened, I believe, in 1983 or 85. I think it was 83. I don't remember the name of the group. But they actually surrendered peacefully, which was kind of unexpected from the FBI and the ATF. The day they were going to go in and raid and give them the ultimatum was April 19th. Again. But they end up surrendering. Therefore, there's no need to fight, I guess. So that's three things. Then we have oil rig disaster, 2010. On what date? April 19th. So there's several coincidences, all of which basically either ended up in blowing up in fire, killing people basically, except for the one where they gave up in 1983. That date from April 19th through like 3 weeks later or something is a very occult date. Anybody who's a satanic, whatever, devil worshiper, into the very occult things from thousands of years ago, on the old ancient occult calendars, that's a very special date. It requires a blood sacrifice by fire to the satanic god, whatever. I'm not making that up. That's a fact. So anyways, let's just go here for a minute. Worst case scenario, this oil disaster was planned. They knew they were going to cause a leak on purpose, whatever, and they knew they were going to blow it up, and they knew they were going to cause massive destruction, which is going to lead to, I don't know how many people dying by the time this is all said and done due to the seas being destroyed, everything else. It's going to cause a very big strain on food, you name it, and there's going to be another false flag of terror attack. Has to happen. Why? Because our country is bankrupt. Every time we're in bankrupt, well, we've been bankrupt for a while, but every time we're like in dire straits, bankruptcy, we go to war. Big war. Not little old Afghanistan, not little old Iraq. We're talking Iran, World War III, Israel, you name it. That's what's coming. Not to mention Lindsey Williams, 100% accuracy from what I've been following him from 2007. He has been calling it spot on. He says the war with Iran is back on the table with the elite. It will happen. They want it to happen by 2011 or 2011 and a half, somewhere in that time frame. Unless Israel starts it first, it was his quote. So we're halfway through 2010. You see the news. You hear all this stuff. New sanctions. New this. New that. Iran's going to now send a flotilla of its own or whatever. I mean, this is obvious now. That's going to happen. So, anyways, let's go back on a couple things. So, there's something called. Well, let me back up. This is front page news. Not that I watch Fox News. Believe me, I'm not a sheep. But it's nice to see what they're doing, what they're up to, just to see the nonsense that they do. Now look at this front page, Fox News. Nothing else behind it. Very front page. Afghan military members AWOL from U.S. Air Force Base. Afghanistan, the country we're basically at war with, so to speak. We have friendly military people from their country being trained in our country. Even after those Afghans slaughtered a bunch of, like, 24 Britain soldiers and American soldiers and then ran off. One of the guys we were training did that. I think last year or maybe it was the year before. I don't remember. Anyway, so look at this. Afghan military members AWOL from U.S. Air Force Base. Oh, nationwide alert. Nationwide alert. Front page. Title. Terror. Oh, got to throw that in there. Fucking, this is ridiculous. Exclusive. Okay. A nationwide alert has been issued for 17 members of Afghan military who have gone AWOL from Texas Air Force Base with foreign military officers who are training to become pilots and taught English. Fox News has learned. The Afghan officers and enlisted men have security badges that give them access to secure U.S. defense installations, according to the Lookout Bulletin. So, let's fast forward here to another part where it says, basically they've been missing since the last 2 years. Here it is. I can confirm that 17 have gone missing from Defense Language Institute, Chief of Public Affairs, 37th Training Wing at Lackland Air Force Base. They disappeared over the course of the last 2 years and none in the last 3 months. So 3 months prior to today, maybe one more went missing. Who knows? But before that, it's been within 2 years. And we're just getting a homepage of Fox News, front page, terror, exclusive alert. Guys are AWOL. They've been AWOL for 2 years. Why is this coming now? Why? You are looking at Fox News telling you in advance who the next patsies are going to be, who the next people are going to be blamed on the next terror attack. Now look at this little ad over here. Fox Spotlight. Taxpayer calculator. National Flood Insurance Program provides relief for flood-prone areas. Find out how much of your money is involved. Let's take a little look at the symbol they've got there. What is that? Oh, the triangle. The all-seeing eye on the back of the dollar. That's pretty appropriate. They just love to put stuff in your face. So, I want to read an email. And again, this is part of the thing where I say, take this with a grain of salt, because this is some weird stuff. Now, last year, there was something called Operation Blackjack that was posted on the BBC, I think, news. And supposedly it turned out to be a hoax, and there was like this big jigsaw puzzle. People were putting it together, and they were finding all these little hidden dates and times and events and terror attack and this and that. And turns out the date in question now is just a few days away, and that is somewhere between June 21st to June 23rd. So I'm just going to read this to you. This is a guy posting it, and I think his name was Alan6 on this website, whatever. Alright, if there are any terrorist attacks later this month, especially on the 22nd of June, the Anglo-American establishment will be behind it. Muslim patsies will be presented. However, even the so-called 7/7/2005 London bombing mastermind was exposed as an MI5 secret agent on an American television show. We fell for 9/11 and the 7/7 London bombings, and we must not fall for the 6/22/2010 if something happens. Again, this is someone talking on a message board. A new irresistible target presented itself to me last Sunday. The film Knowing from 2009 has a final unresolved message, 10/19/09, plus a backwards EE, which backwards would equal 9/19/2010. That's not June, obviously, but anyways, 9/19/2010. That date seems a little bit too obvious, but it's worth remembering. So, if you add the 1093, it equals 22. Remove the 0, and you have 1 plus 9 plus 3 equals 13, which is a key